everyone, and welcome to our podcast. Today, I'm your host, Jam, and I'm joined by my co host, Jude.
Hello. No Lucy today.
Sadly, she's not feeling too well, so we're going to let her get some rest while we talk about Edge of Eternities. What we're excited for, things that we're going to predict, and just general Magic the Gathering nonsense.
Yeah, pretty laid back episode today. We aren't really properly in spoiler season for Edge of Eternities yet, so we don't have a ton of cards to talk about. And of the ones we do have, we didn't put any of them on the slides. We might talk about some of the spoilers, I guess, but it's mostly going to be us yammering. So,
Also, are you excited about anything in particular, June?
um, well, fully up on the story. I listened to the first two episodes of it that they put out, but I usually listen to those at work, and I've had a long weekend, so I haven't listened to the new ones yet, but I will. I did read the Planeswalkers guide though, and I'm really digging what they're putting down with Edge of Eternities. The Planeswalkers guide was like the first author they have listed was Miguel Lopez, who I'm generally just a fan of. Any set where the Planeswalkers guide is in his hands, he's going to do some good world building stuff. And the thing I actually know Miguel Lopez from prior to his work on Magic is from his work on the tabletop RPG system Lancer, which is similarly kind of like it's more hard sci-fi, it's mecha stuff, but it's another space setting, and I can definitely see a lot of Lancer influence on the world building they've done for Edge of Eternities, and I like it. What about you?
Well, I haven't seen too much of the story stuff. Uh, the only article I've read about Edge of Eternities things is the article where they announced slash video where they announced that coming with Edge of Eternities vehicles will be allowed to be legend in your command zone.
Yeah, the vehicles in the new starships, which is kind of like a variant on vehicles they're introducing in this. So as long as they're legendary and they are a vehicle or a starship, they can be your commander, which I think is pretty cool. Um, there's not a ton of legendary vehicles as it stands, and of the ones we do have, the majority of them are like monocolored. So there's not a ton of super interesting stuff quite yet. But I will be interested to see what people cook up with the new rules change. I don't have that much interest in it myself, but
I mean,
definitely.
I think it's interesting. I don't think there's like a huge pool at the moment. Maybe in the future we'll get some more. I typically like vehicles, and I think they have an interesting play pattern where it's harder to remove them during your opponent's turns. With starships, it's a little bit different because I know they just permanently become creatures.
Yeah, so we've been alluding to this mechanic a little bit. I don't have a card in front of me, so I might get some details wrong, but the whole starship thing, roughly how that works is it's an artifact subtype. You will have an artifact that has whatever static abilities that it has, and then also has a power and toughness, but it is locked behind its station cost. And how that works is you tap a creature to put charge counters equal to its power on the starship, and then if you meet the correct threshold, which I think will depend from starship to starship, it just becomes a creature permanently. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so
I also
far we've only had one ship
yep, it's like a
announced.
3 or 4 mana in white. It tutors for a legendary creature.
Well, it you know we're gonna be doing some Thalia's Lancers shenanigans with this creature.
Oh yeah, I mean I think it's cheaper than Thalia's Lancers. I don't have the card in front of me again, so it might be also 5 mana, but I don't think so. I believe it
It's
also has.
one white.
Oh yeah, okay.
And
Um,
I think its station cost is either 7 or 9.
that sounds correct. Yeah. It also has a line of text on it.
Whenever it's a creature, all other legendaries you control have indestructible.
As long as they're tapped, I believe. So if they've stationed the Seriema, I believe it's called, or, yeah. But starships, they're new, they're cool. Um, I hope we get some neat multicolored ones to kind of flesh out the category of like you know artifact commanders, for lack of a better you know umbrella term for them. But it is a space set, so I kind of imagine they're going to have some cool starships in there. One would hope.
Well, what works really well with multicolored spells?
What would that be?
They're reprinting shocks.
That is true. Yeah. We're getting 5 in this set, I think. It's a mix, kind of a Guilds of Ravnica or Ravnica Legion style, for those who are around for those days. Kind of a mix of uh, some ally colored ones, some enemy colored ones. I think it's black, white, red, green, blue, black, blue, green, and red, white. I'm pretty sure. Um, And yeah, another thing that they talked about when they showed those off with the reveal trailer is that this is a land themed set, which is not what I was expecting from the space set, but I suppose it does make some sense when you stop to think about it. Like, if all of your different lands are different planets, essentially, then it would make a lot of sense for kind of an intergalactic planet hopping narrative to, utilize lands in that way. Um, we've already seen some landfall stuff, I believe. One detail that I really like about this set is that they're remixing a lot of like traditional Magic lore to be kind of like 50% familiar, 50% unfamiliar kind of here. So, like you'll see on the slide we have currently, which, by the way, Jam, don't skip to the next slide. This is the last image I put on here.
I
Um,
know. I'm not as
sorry.
stupid.
That's okay. But Kavus, which are just like big burly beasts that show up on Dominaria sometimes. Those are just like a humanoid species in Edge of Eternities. You can see one on the right there. I believe he's Tanuk. He's from the story. But they're called the Kav. They have their whole planet. They messed it up with some ecological disaster. Now they're searching for a new homeland. And I think they're going to be like a big land heavy tribe because there's already some Kavu land synergies. There's the red green one with Domain from a few Modern Horizons ago. And Domain is a mechanic I could absolutely see being in this set as well, especially since it's rotating out with out of standard with the set's release. So I could imagine they bring it right back, but maybe try to do something else with it, preferably, because I don't really like Domain.
Well, if there's gonna be spaceships and lands, I imagine there's gonna be a starship that costs 3 mana that on entry searches for a basic land onto the battlefield tapped. That's one of my predictions right there. Well,
Solemn Spaceship Hulacrum. Yeah, that sounds good.
Solemn Space Wackrel. Speaking of like revisiting old things, because you said it's going to be like 50% familiar, 50% new. I
I mean, I'm
know.
just throwing numbers out there, but there's a lot of like stuff like that. Apparently, the Eldrazi existed a long time ago. People know what slivers are, but only because they're in movies in Edge of Eternities, which is a detail I really like. But
There's also going to be Tezzeret. Tezzeret's coming back.
yeah, Tezzeret is coming back. We've already seen his card. He is a colorless planeswalker for 3 mana, which I believe that's the lowest they've gone on any of the colorless planeswalkers. In the past, it's just been Karn, I think. But yeah, I think he's colorless now because he got like a new Darksteel body back at the end of the Phyrexian arc. So I guess that's how they're representing this, and I guess this is what he's been doing in his time off screen. We haven't really seen him since the invasion of the multiverse started. So
I do really like his card, but I don't like Tezzeret as a person.
I think he's interesting. He's obviously like extremely villainous, but you know, I think it's interesting to have a guy who is uh, like a villain who is constantly finding himself getting worked over by other villains. That's just funny, I think. Um, Although I would love to see Tezzeret get some time in the spotlight as a proper big bad, although with Bolus waking up again, who knows if that's going to be the case. I wonder if Tezzeret knows about that.
Well, we'll find out as we.
It might have already been in the story. Those move quickly, and I haven't been keeping up with it. So, comments, you can spoil it for us if you want.
Don't spoil it! I want to read the story now.
You can listen to it too. They have like audio articles.
Well,
that's what I usually do, honestly.
Hopefully we'll have like if we know that if there's like slivers in the story, of course they're dead. Maybe we'll get like a sliver card.
I would doubt it. Again, I believe the line from the second like story article is like slivers exist, but only in movies or something like that. So I think they're either entirely fictitious, but just like with an asterisk on it of these do exist, but not on this plane. But either that or like that would be the Edge of Eternities equivalent to like Jurassic Park, and slivers are dinosaurs. Although I don't.
Maybe it's Chekhov's gun.
Maybe the whole star system is going to get eaten up by slivers. That'll be what they do. I don't know. Do you think they'd ever just make slivers a main villain?
No, I think slivers like kind of sort of represent like the only time that slivers are really a problem is when other people are like messing with them.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about sliver lore, but it's basically Jurassic Park, so I'm starting to lean towards that, honestly.
I'll tell you more about sliver lore, but it'll have to be off screen.
Oh, okay.
Because we're talking about Edge of Eternities, the coolest.
Yeah. I actually did have some more things to say about Tezzeret, if you don't mind going back to his slide.
We could talk about Tezzeret more.
Yeah. So most of his abilities are very artifact reliant. I think they all do stuff with abilities. He's with artifacts. Sorry, he's got a static ability that gives him a loyalty counter when an artifact enters. He has a -3, I believe. That's just like an Urza's Saga trigger straight up.
I think it's a Trinket Mage trigger. I think it puts it into your hand.
Oh my god, does Urza's Saga tutor it to the battlefield?
Urza's Saga tutors it to the battlefield.
Oh my, what the hell is wrong with that card? I haven't played with it really any, but yeah.
Hey, maybe now you'll get to play with it now that it keeps its chapter abilities from Blood Moon.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's kind of old news at this point, but I don't think I'm playing in many formats with Blood Moon either, admittedly. Yeah, and generally, I don't think artifacts are going to be a huge theme in the set, but we've seen that like a lot of legendary creatures, as well as Tezzeret, have abilities that are relevant to artifacts, like just a bunch of different artifact synergies spread across them. So I kind of wonder if 5-color artifacts will be like a limited deck, maybe. That could be fun. And especially if they have domain in there, that would make extra sense. But I think it's also just representing that like Tezzeret and all of the different agents he's reached out to. Because kind of they're on the hunt for some weird artifact that Tezzeret wants for vague, nefarious purposes. I'm sure.
Maybe he wants it to battle someone.
I'm
Is
not even sure who his main like enemies are at this point because I'm not. Phyrexians are sealed away. Fomori are sealed away. Um, Not Fomori. Eldrazi. We don't know what the deal with the Fomori is. And I don't think he knows about. I don't even think he knew if Bolus wasn't actually dead. Because the whole thing with that was Jason Ugan pretty much just like secreted Bolus away to the meditation plane, and I'm pretty sure they're the only two that know. Maybe Sarkon also. I don't remember. But yeah, I guess if he wants it for anything, it would either be to get himself an army potentially, because he was working with Bolus, he was working with the Phyrexians. He knows you need one of those if you want an event set with your name on it. Or it's something that can help fight the Gatewatch, because I guess they would be his biggest rival at this point. I don't know.
maybe he's
My,
just collecting it like insurance. Like he doesn't know what's coming, but he can feel it in his planeswalker spark.
yeah, I could see that.
Anything else you want to talk about this set?
Uh, I really like the Monoists. They're one of the factions that's been mentioned. I believe the Blue Black legend that got spoiled a few days ago is associated with them. They're a black hole worshipping death cult that wants to open a bunch of black holes and link them together in order to create like a paradise plane. And that's sick as hell. I love that.
They're like, wait, but how would that work? Black holes are like destructive forces of nature.
They have some kind of like uh rig they can put on them to like contain them and keep them mostly stable, but still dangerous if you get close to them. Uh, that's actually what's going on with the like main star in the like region that Edge of Eternities is set in. I believe it's just called the Sothera system, and we already have the Sothera card. It's that enchantment. Uh, so it's just a big stable black hole. Still gives off life, or still gives off light, which is strong enough to support life, but for all intents and purposes is a black hole. Um, it's cool. The set looks cool. We're getting a lot of good art. I'm loving seeing a bunch of Magic classics getting reinterpreted with the space theme. Space
It
angels are cool.
it also
Space
just
dragons.
gives me hope because like Tarkir, I love that set and I loved
Yeah.
like a return to like just focusing on magic and letting magic stories breathe a little bit. And so like and like everything that I've seen about this is like giving me vibes of this set is probably not gonna be cowboys in space.
Yeah. I mean, some of the quote unquote hat set criticism is definitely justified. I feel like there are people that just kind of like bandwagon on it. So I'm sure there will be some people who act like Magic is dead because of this set for no reason. Um, but I don't know. I
I'm
like
get
the new stuff. I'm a Duskmorn defender. You know this jam.
I'm gonna give it a chance. I'm gonna read the story and
Yeah.
I'm gonna hope they don't pull uh one of the sets that I hated. Like the first, what was the first hat set?
I think that's kind of debatable, but Murders at Karlov Manor.
Yeah, they I got really hyped up murders, and then last second they just kind of
Mm,
went, boom, you suck. So I'm really hoping this
yeah.
is not a repeat of that situation.
from what I've seen of the story articles so far, they're pretty well written. The tone is a little bit quippier than I'd like, but that's just what franchise storytelling is like these days, so I'll grin and bear it. Um, it's very reminiscent of the Murderbot Diaries, um, which is that might just be a story that I have on the brain at the moment because my girlfriend and I have been watching through the TV show of it that's coming out. But it feels, I don't know, akin to the tone of those books, especially.
Well, I've
So
never read Murder Bots.
it's good. TV show's good too. I don't know if anyone's watching that, but
Anything else you wanted to say?
um, I'm excited to see what more of the mechanical themes are, and at any rate, we're getting a lot of cool art, so I'm happy. Good time to be a Magic fan.
And I think that wraps us up then.
Yeah. Well, okay. I hope y'all liked the more open-ended structure of this one.
My autism didn't.
I don't imagine it'll be a staple. I do like the slideshow format, but I like to yammer, so.
I like to yammer and look at cool art from time to time. But anyways, don't deck and drive and stay safe, Jude.
Don't deck and drive your starship. Bye-bye.